Wednesday, July 24th, 2019. I've been talking about this blue machine knit boxy that I've been sort of calculating on my own with this mystery blue singles cotton-ish yarn, and it's not working. So I finished all the pieces to the sweater, and this morning I seamed on the little sleeves. That one I did correctly. That one I did not. The little sleeves are really hard to get over my forearms, but which, you know, could probably be blocked out and stretched out and stuff, but we have a major problem with the body pieces. The back piece is considerably shorter than the front piece, and both of them have a very noticeable skew. You can see the front piece is skewing this way, and the back piece is skewing that way. The back piece was 800 and something rows, and the front piece was, the patterned rows was about 640. So I'm not going to fix it. I'm not going to redo it. I'm done with this yarn as a single. I will probably divide up that cone onto bobbins at some point and ply them so that this much skew doesn't happen. Probably should have been able to predict that that would happen, but the tuck stitch pattern didn't show that much skew on the swatch, which, I mean, if you just like look at a little chunk of it, it's not that much skew, but in a whole garment, that's a lot of not going to work. So I'm going to toss this into my scrap bin and hope that I come up with something to do with these big panels. Maybe a market bag type thing. Maybe just sew it together on my sewing machine. Just remove the stockinette pieces so that they're kind of even. But I think we're going to put this in timeout until I can figure out something to do with the pieces. And that's it for this boxy type thing. Will I do another boxy type thing? I don't know. Maybe just had the brief idea of maybe doing a scrap boxy thing at some point, but maybe I'll just leave that whole sweater design idea alone for a while and focus on my Make 9 items for the time being. So, boo. It's August 2nd. I haven't been doing very much crafting. I just noticed there's grapes everywhere. I mean, I knew the grapevines were everywhere, but the grapes are everywhere too. Me and Penny are gonna go have a look in the garden, see what's growing. But first she needed to chase some crows. Did you chase them all, Pen? They've all been chased. Are you gonna stay over there while I go look in the garden, or are you coming with me? Alright, I'm going in the garden. I can see you from there. Folks on Instagram have been enjoying my updates, so... Oh, wind knocked this tire over. Okay, so I've got some madder. That's an onion. These were 2 tires tall, but all the dirt kind of sank to the bottom. These are all madder, 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 with a single marigold in it. These are my dahlias, which I'm growing for dye purposes. I think there's a dahlia or 2 that are still left alive in this thing, but it's mostly weeds. My tomatoes are coming along nicely. Ooh, one of them's starting to turn red. I'm excited about that. And in with my tomatoes, I also have marigolds for dyeing. More tomatoes. These are my thymes. I might be ready to grab some more of those. Just sniff my fingers. So here we have marigolds on the outside and hollyhock on the inside. They've just kind of been hovering around at this stage, so I don't know if they're going to get any bigger. Marigolds. Marigolds. Here's my woad. They're looking a little chewed. But hopefully I'll be able to get one dye pot. This oregano is still alive. This oregano is barely hanging on. I think I over-harvested this one. This is the only marigold that came up in this bin, but everything else died. I planted black-eyed Susans here. None of them came up. I've got some black beans here. And I have to double check as to when these beans would be ready. So they might be ready any day now. This bed was planted with weld, but I don't think any of it came up. Because that just looks like normal weeds. But that was, yeah, that's normal weeds. That's what I had thought might have been weld in the early days. Then I have spaghetti squash. Here's my monster squash. This one is having a grand old time. There's a big old squash there, a little squash, another big squash. There's more flowers. It's trying to escape and take over the universe. There's another spaghetti squash. It's got one happy squash. And this squash just keeps growing in a circle. Here's a squash. I gotta get a tile or something to put under that so it doesn't get all gross. And there's Penny just enjoying being outside. She doesn't really care about the garden now that I don't let her dig holes in it. Over here in my jungle of wild onions, each of these is a wild onion. I gotta come in here and mow them down again with a pair of scissors. Here's my purple basils, which seem to alternate between being completely almost dead, being eaten by everything, and thriving. We seem to be on a thriving swing, so that's good. And my regular green basils, which I think I need to take some more off of right now. It is Sunday, August 4th, 2019. Hi, Pen. I just scared her by talking. Day 2 of the new haircut, which means that it just wants to go vertically up into wherever. But that's not why I'm putting my face on the camera today. I have been, over the past week and a few days, been utilizing the KonMari method to declutter my life. It's one of those things that the universe just started shouting at me that it needed to happen. I was seeing Marie Kondo's books everywhere, and then both of her books ended up in my audiobook library borrowing, so I don't even remember putting holds on either of them, but they both showed up in there. So the universe says I need to go through some stuff, so I'm going through some stuff. I've gone through her basic first 3 categories: clothing, books, and paper. Clothing was pretty quick because I don't actually own that much clothing. And books was freeing. If you follow my Instagram, you'll have seen in stories some posts about the books. I weeded out almost 100 books and was able to put my books vertically back on the shelves, which has not happened in over 10 years. So that's exciting. And I don't know when I'll actually get them up, but if they're still available, I have a D-Stash account on Instagram now, freakishlemon_D-Stash, and I'm going to put things that need to find new homes, like books and yarn and things like that, up on that account, so go check that out if you're looking for any things like that. Anyway, I finished up clothing, books, and paper, like I said, and now I'm on Komono, which is everything else except for sentimental items. So the biggest part of my personal Komono stuff is craft stuff. I've got it broken down into kind of 3 basic categories, which is everything else, fabric, and yarn. So that is what you will see me doing in the following clips, is destroying this craft room to declutter. Still kind of just pulling stuff out, but I'm kind of discarding stuff that I know is going to be discarded as I go. So it's a bit slow. Alright, status update. It is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have finished going through all of the things that are not yarn, fiber, or fabric. So there's a lot of stuff. Those are some containers that I've emptied. That container will be emptied. Those are a lot of swatches, but that's good yarn, so I'm just gonna reclaim the yarn and see what I want to do with it, because as a swatch, it's useless at this point. They're either swatches that didn't work or just playing around. That is the pile of things that I will be discarding. It's not really organized by whether I'm going to destash it, donate it, or toss it at this point. The only things that I have tossed thus far were very obvious things that needed to be tossed, like dried paint and stuff like that. So all the rest of it, I mean, some of it I just kind of like left where I found it after I pulled it out and looked at it. But all the rest of this stuff is to keep. Some stuff needs to go somewhere else. That needs to go somewhere else. I have Christmas ornaments up there. They need to go with the Christmas stuff. And I'm not yet sure where wrapping paper is going at this point, so it's going to stay right there for now. But, that's, yeah, not fabric and fiber. I gotta find a better thing to do with this, too. I'll be taking the comb off of this. This is, polyester tulle that Gabby from Once Upon a Corgi was using to test the veil that she's making for her wedding. But Amanda from Classy Squid Fiber Company gave the incredible tip on her Instagram a few weeks ago that if you lay down a layer of tulle on your drum carder, you can just peel off your fiber from the drum carder, which is brilliant. And you can use a piece more than once, but eventually you have to replace that piece. So this giant bit of tulle will become part of that arrangement over there. So now I gotta, deal with this mess so I can go on to the other items on my KonMari list. I'm taking a break from tidying to come out to the garden, and it's my first official tomato. First one I've ever grown on my own. Pen's very excited about it. She remembers tomatoes from her first summer with us. My mom would pick tomatoes, and she'd give her a cherry tomato to bring in. And she would just hold it in between her teeth very gently and then spit it out on the kitchen floor so I could roll around there for a while. And she would just bring it inside. And now it's raining, so I gotta see if I can get this dog back in the house. Craft room update. I have organized this box basically into stuff that's going up for destash. I lost track of what I was saying there. And I've actually already gone through fabric. It was actually pretty easy, I think, having reorganized it fairly recently. I was able to pull out things very quickly and just at a glance say yes or no. So that's everything that I'm keeping. And this is the stuff I'm definitely going to put up for destash. That's a pile of scraps that I'm going to see if a local quilt guild can use. I haven't decided about this black. It's a good black fabric, but as you can see, it attracts every single little thing, and it's hard to brush off. So I'm at some point going to go to Joann's and get a coupon. No, that sentence came out wrong. I'm going to get black fabric from Joann's using coupons when I need it, because this black was really good for the back of my quilt that's on my bed, but I do not want to have to fight with this on the front of anything. So I haven't decided if that's going to go for destash or to a quilt guild. You'll see if you follow that D-Stash account. I lied about being done with the fabric. I forgot about having to go through my scrap bin. Oh boy, this is a little more difficult. So it's Monday, August 5th, and I forgot to close this out last night. Turns out my scrap bin wasn't that much of a problem. I already had 60% of it divvied up into plastic bags to be donated somewhere, so that was awesome. So everything is done in the craft room except for yarn, and I'm not going to have enough time to do that tonight. But I had a new friend show up in the mail today. It's Tuesday, August 6th. It's hot as butts in here, and I have just completed constructing the Great Wall of Yarn. This is my yarn stash minus bare yarn to dye with, which I only have 2 little bins of now, and my scrap bins, because my scrap bins will not fit on this table. The only reason that some of these are still in plastic is I know that I'm keeping all of those knit picks for heels, toes, and cuffs. I'm keeping all of those Star Wars self-striping mustache yarns, and these other 2 are getting destashed, so I'm just not taking them out of the packaging because I already know what I'm doing with everything in them. Everything else, it's time to go through. It's pretty amazing how quickly this process goes once you get the hang of it. This table is everything I'm aiming to destash. And then this pile on the floor, those things right there, those, and then those are bare yarns for dyeing. These 2 sock blanks, this crochet thread, those are my dyed cotton and wool samples. This bin of minis, that bin of other scraps, and this is what I'm keeping. I It just kind of ran out of room on the floor. It's a little hard to walk in here. But I'm keeping most of it, which I knew I would, because I know myself. But there was definitely some stuff that I knew I wasn't going to use, or I wasn't going to use anytime in the next 10 years. Because, I mean, it's good sock yarn over there in the corner, but I have a ton of other sock yarn to use, and those just, they're never going to jump to the top of the queue. So this is what will be going up on D-Stash. And then I think for fiber, because I have fiber to play with making bats and rolags there, but I think I'm okay with fiber. Because I don't impulse buy fiber as much. Like, I have a general idea of what I'm doing with all of these. Well, not necessarily with these. I'm just spinning those to play around. So they may end up destashed later after I spin them, but everything else kind of either has a plan or I'm going to spin it and that's what I need it for, and then it will go to a new home. Yeah, comparatively, I was looking at my Ravelry stash count, and I think I had about 30 items under fiber, and I had a couple hundred items under yarn, so I'm not as worried about the fiber. But now I've got to put all this yarn away, which is going to take a while. So I didn't realize how many sweaters quantities of yarn that I have. In this bucket we have Mystery Fleece Handspun, which is enough for a sweater. What I have finished of my brown Cormo sweater spin, so there will be more of that when I finish spinning that. And then on this table we have 1, 2, knock something over, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this is 2 to 3. I have multiple colors of this Classic Elite Yarns Mohawk wool. There are a couple of sweater plans in there, 2 or 3 sweaters, so like 10 sweaters quantities of not fingering weight yarn. Well, this is fingering weight. And this is sorry, I moved the camera. This is fingering weight, and this is fingering weight. Everything else is basically worsted or DK. This is sport. But honestly, it behaves a little like the DK yarns that I've used. This is worsted, this is DK, this is worsted. Worsted. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. But there's only 2 for sure that are fingering weight yarn sweater quantities. This is a lot of sweater quantities of yarn. I gotta get moving on some sweaters. Well, I know this is going to become a Redford sweater as part of my Make 9, and this is a Christmas Star Wars sweater as part of my Make 9. So at least 2 of those should be done this year. I mean, I knew I had a lot of Classic Elite because I've just been collecting it, but I didn't realize I had quite so much. And I didn't realize I had 3 sweaters quantities in basically the same natural gray. These 3 are all pretty close. Oh boy. So this is going to be a mostly stockinette sweater, because that's what the Redford sweater is. So I'm going to have to do something textured or color work with these other yarns, so that I don't have basically identical sweaters in different yarn bases. Not that I can do the same pattern anyway, because that's fingering weight, and these two are not, but decisions to make. But mostly I gotta decide how I want to store these. All the rest of my yarns have ended up basically where they were before. This is my hand spun yarn in these plastic thingies. And then over here, as I trip over some stuff on the floor, sock yarn, fingering weight yarn. These two are designated sock yarns. Fingering weight yarns. This is also a sock yarn. Maybe I should switch these two. I'll do that off camera. Then fingering weight yarn. This is kind of fingering and sport and a little bit of DK, because I think this is technically a DK yarn, this 100 Ravens Draco yarn. And then this is my one thing of cotton. And then this is my worsted weight yarns. Worsted weights I tend to buy as I need them, so that's good. And then these crochet cottons will stay where they are, so I can grab them at a moment's notice. I just need to sort out which of these sweater quantities is going into plastic to go in that space, and how we're going to sort the rest of them out in that bin. And possibly plastic too on top of that bin. Well, we'll find out what I decide. Alright, so I'm done putting away my yarn. I ended up putting my Knit Picks, Wool of the Andes, and my 2 Green Mountain Spinnery sweater quantities in those spaces. Sort of grouped my yarns in this bin and put all my mountaintop in this plastic thing. So now everything on the table and in that bin are slated for destash, which is a lot of stuff. So that's slated for destash. That is definitely quilting type scraps. I'm gonna see if there's a local quilt guild who wants them. But that'll probably go last, because if any of that fabric doesn't go in destash, I will just throw it into that bag and give it to a quilt guild. That garbage bag is just stuff that's going to get donated to the local thrift store type thing. Some of my stuff is not put away. That I can't really put that away because I need that bin to put those in. It's a new skein of yarn that I need to put into my Ravelry stash. Oh, my Ravelry stash is going to be a nightmare to update. Just realized just now. Okay. But most of the things have been put away. That's where my new little spinning friend lives for right now. So I probably do need to empty those bins out and just clean the spiders out of them. But this is what the craft room looks like right now. That's just stuff that I got out of the way in order to do this destash. That's all things that are currently in progress and like electrical cords. And then I have my bin of swatches to unravel for minis and scraps and things. And then I have empty containers. I have things to be recycled, but the recycling bin is full, so I can't put them in the bin yet. suppose I have to turn the air down. It's a little loud. Where are these people going? Hello. It is Friday, August 16th, 2019. I am in a parking lot trying to leave Trader Joe's. And I can't remember the last time that I was vlogging. This is gonna have some great lighting. And I just wanted to chat with you guys for a bit. A couple things. One, I don't think I mentioned why I'm doing this episode vlog style. And that is because 3 days after I posted my last episode, my grandmother passed away. She had been in hospital for 2 or 3 weeks at that point. She was 90 years old. And her health has steadily been declining, so it wasn't a surprise, but it is hard whenever you lose somebody. So I hadn't been doing pretty much any crafting except for some socks while visiting her in the hospital for the week and a half-ish up until that episode. And I knew I wasn't really gonna get, well into... Sorry about the sound of my turn signal. I wasn't really going to get well into any projects kind of following her passing, because grief is hard. And it affects you in weird ways if you're not expecting it. Or rather, it affects you in ways that you're not expecting, because grief is weird. And you kind of can't really prepare for it until you're in it. So, I haven't been doing a ton of crafting, and you've seen in the vlog that I have been also sort of KonMari decluttering my entire life, which means that I'm still putting my entire life back together, including the craft room, which is kind of a mountain of things that I'm in the middle of photographing for D-Stash at the moment. So what have I been doing if I haven't been crafting a whole lot? You've seen me working in the garden. I've been sleeping, which is nice. Sleep is good. But also I've been watching a lot of sewists on YouTube, specifically historical garment sewists, which is a thing that I enjoy immensely. I've been subscribed to Angela Clayton's channel for a while. I think I mentioned it in a podcast episode. And at some point during this year, I subscribed to the likes of Bernadette Banner and Morgan Donner. And about 2 weeks ago now, there was the Costume College event out in LA, which I wasn't aware of specifically, but I knew there were events like it. But Bernadette Banner and Morgan Donner and a bunch of other people who are all kind of YouTube and Instagram friends all went to Costume College, so I got a whole... Oh, hello. This thingy is not locked. I'm not gonna fix it. I'm driving. Yes, so they all met up and there was a lot of channel sharing and Instagram sharing, so there's a whole bunch of new to me historical sewists out there that I've been watching their videos, and it's been making me consider things to be doing next year in terms of projects and things to do going forward in terms of video. Because their videos, if they're not vlog style, they tend to be project based, where you kind of go along with them as they make a garment, which I think for many modern day garment making isn't really that necessary. I'm sure there are people who do it and they'd be easy enough to find, but for historical garments it's really interesting because you can see their research and their explanations for why they're doing a thing, and how they're doing a thing, because there's not a lot of, ready-made patterns for like accurate-ish historical garment making. So yes, in terms of projects for next year, I do want to start doing a little bit of historical inspired. This phrase got away from me. Some historical garment making or history inspired garment making. Maybe do a little bit of blending of the two for some of my everyday wear, because I have been told on more than one occasion, oddly enough, that I should wear my Renaissance Fair costume all the time. I have been told that by, not costume people. So, maybe incorporating some historically inspired garments into my everyday wear would be good for me to feel more comfortable in the clothes that I own. Sorry, I just blocked my entire face with my hand. But also, it gave me some inspiration for a new Renaissance Fair garment. I guess I'll briefly talk about it for a second while I'm driving. So one, I can't remember, was it Bernadette it might have been Bernadette who said it, but one of them in one of their videos, one of those historical costume makers in one of their videos, said that they want to do an upcoming project for a historical Hogwarts uniform, which would be great. And that got me thinking about historical garment sewing, and I do want to make some period accurate-ish garments to wear to the Renaissance Fair, and I thought it would be really cool to do a kind of history cosplay of Salazar Slytherin, because I am a Slytherin, and I already have things that are green, like boots, which are important. So I was inspired by especially Morgan Donner's videos. She does a lot of medieval sewing, and I have to do a bunch of research to see even what area of Europe I want to do the historical clothing from. A lot of the base garments are going to be similar because of the fabric production techniques that were available at the time, but the fancy stuff that goes on top of it, I have to decide whether I want to go English-ish, because England wasn't a unified thing at the time, or, back in the year 990-ish, or if I want to go with the delightful dead cat with the flamethrowers of a linear circle fanfic background for Salazar Slytherin as a Spanish nobleman. In that fic, his name, because Salazar is not an English name. Godric is an English name, but Salazar is not. And in her fic, she posits that Salazar Slytherin is actually, his family name is actually Dahlias, which would have been bungled into the English tongue as Slytherin over the years, which I think would be really cool, but I have to do some research into the medieval fashions of those areas before I make any decisions on that. So that's future projects that I want to get to. But also future videos that I want to make for the Historical Sewists channels. Videos are, if not done in vlog style, are more project-based. So if you were making, for example, a coat, you would be more or less focused on a video for that coat from start to finish, which has been really educational for me, even if I'm not making anything that these people are making, because all of these people are feminine identified people that I've been following, and I am not. So I want to try to do more project-style videos for the projects that are more involved than, picking up and knitting a sock. I have 3 Make 9 projects upcoming that I think would make good single video, or if necessary, additional videos, standalones. One of them is a hand knitting pattern that I'm converting to machine knitting, the Redford sweater by Julie Hoover. I think that would make a great video on its own. I am also making 2 button-down shirts, hopefully both of them from the pattern pieces that I made myself. I think it would be easy enough to explain how I made those pattern pieces and then just go through the making of a men's button-down shirt using the pattern pieces that I own for one of the shirts. And then I have a sweater in the queue that I want to do the colorwork yoke by hand and the body machine knit. So I think those would be good examples of projects where I would do a video from start to finish, in the style of the project videos from these Historical Sewists on YouTube. I think that would be pretty cool and would be a great reference point for me if I ever need to know what the heck I did later, or for other people who are not seeing those in-between steps that you just kind of forget about when you're talking about on a podcast. It's less of an issue for folks who are podcasting week to week. I think, they have a better grasp on what they were doing and why they did it from episode to episode, but my episodes are monthly, so either it's this thing sat in a pile for 2 months and then I did it in a day, or you saw me start the project and you saw me finish the project, and that's all the information that you have. And I think that would be especially helpful for even modern garments, making masculine garments, because not a whole lot of masculine sewists show up when I YouTube rabbit hole historical or modern sewists. So that's an idea that I am having currently. It may mean buying a camera. I film all these episodes currently on my phone, which is fine if I'm, setting it up for an hour to do, but I may need to purchase a camera for extended video projects, to set it up while I'm sewing and machine knitting and all that kind of stuff, so that I can still use my phone for audiobooks and podcasts and all that kind of stuff. Reference research real quick in the middle of a project, instead of filming. So I don't know. I gotta do some camera research. Basically gotta do a lot of thinking right now about what I want to do, but those are just some of the things that I thought I should let you know are going through my head at the moment. It is Saturday, August 17th, and today we are processing woad to extract the pigment. All the lights are different color. There we go. Oh, see, that dining room light is real yellow. So, natural light. Okay, so today we are processing woad, and hoping it works to extract blue. So we can just turn here. You can see, there's my setup. I'm heating up this water to 80 degrees Celsius, 176 Fahrenheit. And according to the resource that I'm using, I gotta steep the leaves after I rip them up and wash them for 10 minutes. Put that pot in an ice bath until it cools, and then stir in about 15 grams of soda ash in boiling water, in a cup of boiling water. Pour that into the cooled mixture, stir it up until it's frothy, and then decant it to jars, which I have right there, but you can't see because the light is shining through them. And then let the pigments settle to the bottom. And then you slowly drain off the liquid. And then once there's like no more liquid to dry off, you lay it out into a flat-ish container, let it dry, and then it is powder ready for use. So that's what I'm doing today. If we go up to the dining room and I switch the camera around, can I do that in one shot? Yeah, I can. Okay. So here's my very yellowly lit dining room. You can see we've got some squashes. They're not actually ripe. This one's the closest, but my squash vines are dying and or diseased. So there's something on the leaves, and one of them was way dead and it still had a squash on it. So basically I just cut off the squashes. I'm gonna let them, really they should kind of be like in the sun-ish, but I'm gonna let them ripen off the vine. And then we have my first test beans, because I've never grown black beans before, so I picked one of the pods that I thought was ready and shucked it, and that's some beans. So this is my harvest for today, plus like 3 or 4 tomatoes. But we've got all my bean plants I'm just gonna put on the table. And that is my woad that I need to rinse off and then tear up and then steep in water once it's up to temperature. See, this is what I meant in that last clip, where I might need to invest in a camera if I'm going to do more longer form videos, because this happened so quickly and I needed my phone to reference that I didn't get any footage of the actual process thus far. So I've cooked my woad for 10 minutes at 80 degrees Celsius. It is now cooling in an ice bath. It's not looking blue yet. I'm hoping something will happen with the next thing I'm supposed to do when I change the pH. But if not, I do know that woad does a lot of other colors as well, so it wouldn't be a total loss. I'm really hoping for blue. Now I gotta go refill these ice cube trays, or else nobody in my house is getting ice cubes today. Alright, clumsy left-handed filming. I have added the soda ash and boiling water, and now it says to whisk for 10 minutes. I do not have a dye whisk, so I'm just using a couple of utensils and trying not to splash too much. But it has turned green now, which is a good sign. And it's frothing, which is also a good sign. That's what I'm looking for. So after 10 minutes of this, I get to put it in jars. Ooh, splashing. I have a towel on the floor too, so. And I'm wearing an apron because this is messy. But if I'm going to be doing more woad or indigo dyeing, I suppose I ought to thrift a whisk. I'm getting green splatters everywhere. All right, everyone has left the house. They all decided they needed to be moving and talking to me when I was finishing this, but we have officially decanted the green frothy woad liquid into containers. So these containers will sit here while the sediment falls to the bottom, and I will skim the water off the top. And then I need to look up whether I need to add water again and let it settle again, but that it's a bunch of containers full of woad liquid. It's very exciting. It is Sunday, August 18th, and leaves are falling on me. Taking it a bit easier today. I think I overdid it with my hands yesterday because I was hand sewing and knitting and dyeing and spinning, kind of doing everything yesterday, which I really shouldn't do everything. Wear my hands out. So I'm taking it easy today. I finished rescanning the yarn I claimed from all those swatches that I destashed. So those are soaking. I've cleaned up the craft room. I've cleaned up my bedroom. So now all of the destash items are kind of in in two spots, but contained within each room, which is good. So now I am outside with the dog. And I am researching the medieval Salazar Slytherin costume. And by researching, I mean I'm rereading parts of A Linear Circle to get descriptions of Salazar's clothing so that I can compare to actual research when I do that. This dark lighting is pretty terrible, but I wanted to show you what I am working on. I am working on my Renaissance Fair costume vest, because that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And I've been watching a lot of Bernadette Banner videos, and she does a lot of hand sewing, and it occurred to me that hand stitching my edges where I need to cut, you can see a little bit right there by my thumbnail, and then hem stitching behind that row of hand backstitched will both secure this loosely woven fabric but also prevent the skewing that I get when I run hand woven fabric through the sewing machine. I always get a bit of a skew because of the feed dogs and how they pull the fabric through. So I've stitched and hem stitched on either side of my basted sewing line. I've got 2 more of these lines to do, and then I will cut them into 4 panels and trace out the curved neck and arm edges on the pieces. What you gonna make? What you gonna make in the forge? You gonna make me something? Oh, go chase a deer. Okay. Penny, what are you gonna do with a deer if you catch it, huh? What are you gonna do with a deer if you catch one? Nothing is what you'll do. Deer's gone, sweetie. You scared him off. That's a little bit of crazy hair. It is Saturday, August 24th. First thing in the morning. What are you doing, Penny? She's a dog. She wants to eat everything she finds on the ground. I look real tired, but I just woke up, and the sun is shining in my face a little bit. But I'm just gonna close out the vlog thingy here because I need to edit this today. So, yeah. Hope you enjoyed seeing some stuff I've been doing. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.